it looks like Eric is coming, but he's not here yet. And Deanna cannot, well, she's going to try and pop in late. So, all righty, let's get the fun rolling. So what I've got down, I'll go ahead and go through it, is I was hoping today we could go through just reviewing the notes from last time and how I incorporated them in, because I wanted to make sure there were no questions about that. Go over the community engagement opportunities, and hopefully we can add to all of that too. I hear some, do you guys hear some background noise? Oh, there, yay. Okay, thank you. And then go over freeholder communications, the plan that Terry showed us, and I went ahead and attached that as well. Prioritize our goals, and then take a first pass at strategy. See who wants to take that first swag. Do you guys want to add anything else to that before I get hopping? It'll be like a wedding. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. So from last time, this is probably covering up the box a little bit. Okay. So from last time, what I did was when I met with Johnny from the county, she gave me all this information. So they just ask if we're going to ask for press releases. Johnny, you're on here, right? I think that's her, right, you guys? Anyway, she asked that we only give facts, no opinions. She will send the county HR policy on what we can do and what we cannot do. I don't know that I've gotten that one yet. The staff can and do a first draft press release, and they put it out on Flash Alert. And I didn't know what Flash Alert was, so I'll just let you know. It just goes out to all the major media outlets, radio, TV, newspaper, blah, blah, blah. And they do that every week. So what they're requesting is that if we have any special cadence, they're requesting that we give them at least 4 to 5 days. Because one of the things, and one of the reasons last night we ran into this, that folks don't have the resources that we were hoping for, is there was some rifts. Some reductions in workforce. So they don't have as many folks as they used to help out. So they need a little bit of runway to turn stuff around. They do prefer a regular cadence of communications. One source of the releases, media posts, communications is preferred. And they do request that we work through their office. It gets confusing for them when they have multiple commissioners contacting them for multiple things. So they ask for one person to do that. If we have any questions at all, they are just very generous. They are very nice, and they are happy to answer any questions we have. But the commissioners have control. So we have control over our own personal social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever you've got. But they have control over the counties.
I have a quick question about that. Sorry, about this. So are they able to come to talk to the group? I think we had an email chain about that, and Deanna and I said, oh, it'd be great to actually come and hear like what that's about, like all of these things that they say that they have, like Nextdoor and all this stuff. Is that sponsored ad on Nextdoor? Is it on their page? What does this look? I have tons of questions around these resources that they said that they have for us. So it'd be great if they could come and talk to the committee about that, just so we know what that looks like.
Yeah. Do you have, I will be happy to invite them. I think to make the most of their time, if we could have a list of questions so they can prepare something, because we do meet after 5, and I even hate to have to bother Tina on this, because they want to go home and enjoy the sunshine too. So if we can go ahead and have an organized list of questions, that'll make the most of their time, and I'm happy to invite them. Let's start with Joan.
Is that they can't meet after, they can't meet during business hours? Or is it just that we are meeting after 5?
I'm trying to accommodate everybody's request that we meet at 5 on Thursdays. And so, yeah, and you know what it's like to have to stay after work. So I am happy to invite her. And again, if we can just have a list of questions, that'd be fine. So here's what I know about Nextdoor. Does anybody here live in an HOA?
Well,
Okay.
I'm interested in LinkedIn, the whole thing, you know, yeah,
Okay,
but,
so
yeah.
we live in an HOA, and so I think that's why Nextdoor is so popular in those. I'm trying to pull it up for you. So Nextdoor, you know, if you haven't seen it before, it's just basically an application, and it's kind of like a little Facebook for your neighborhood, but you have to have a code to get into it. And people, we do have a communications resource. So Marilee McCall, if you all know Marilee, she does a lot of the posting on Nextdoor. It's got a really good audience too. So when things are going on, the Board of Health posts, well, Chris, you would know that, right? So the Board of Health posts on Nextdoor all the time, like the COVID numbers and stuff like that. It's a good way to get things out to the community. And I've got this list of resources later down the line. But these are just some of the things that they mentioned. News releases, Facebook, Twitter, Nextdoor, LinkedIn, using video from CTV. They can also, if there's something special that we want to announce or something like that, they are happy to reach out to the press because they know all the reporters. Also, the county fair is another way to spread the word. They have translators if we do need them, and they can post things on the county website. And the entire comms staff is listed right there. They also ask that we not only, it's really those folks, they ask that we CC Chris Cook, Kathleen, and the e-board, just to keep everybody in the loop. Okay, I don't want to go too fast. Any questions here?
Mm.
Okay. Okay, so I've got this back in here just because it is it's important to note what our timelines are and what we should probably be getting ready for. And I know Chuck spoke to this last night. This is a list of community engagements. Obviously, we missed this one, but these are also ways that we can go about spreading the word in the communities. Let's see. Any questions on this one?
I have some questions. I know that that Chuck spoke to this and made it seem like, oh, we've missed these opportunities. We can't do this because they're not going to be meeting and stuff. And I think I sent out an email with everyone. It's not necessarily, I don't think we necessarily have to physically go to meetings or schedule meetings, you know, or anything. We can send out a request for input from, hundreds of organizations saying, we're interested in your input. Do you have any input by email? And so that's what I think did. I don't know if everybody read the email that I put out that I sent this afternoon, but that's what I suggested around these kind of things, or some of these things like neighborhood associations, and those kind of stuff. So I would want to do that and do it as soon as possible, like draft that email and have it out as soon as possible and send it out to, so that was one of the things I was really wanted us to work on.
So, I'm sorry, were you done? I didn't want to start. Okay, so one of the things they ask is that if we do draft any press releases or emails or things like that, that we go through them, just to make sure it follows all the guidelines. And I'm not going to speak for Chuck, but I think what I inferred he was implying was that these are ways to not just inform, but to evangelize. So there's sending a press release, or there's going and making a presentation, being available for Q&A, putting a face with the commission, that kind of thing. So I think when he was talking about that, he was talking about more of making a connection rather than just an information. But we can absolutely do both because I am a big fan of over communicating rather than under. So that's the list of these resources. And then what I thought we would do is if everybody's got their list from the freeholders, do you guys have that communication up?
Which is that exactly?
It is called the 2013-14 Board of Freeholders Communication Plan.
Yeah, great.
Okay. Here's the one I sent out last week.
Yep, this is the one that Terry found. So what this basically does is it lists all of these resources. So that's why I have every one of these little bullet points is one of the things that they've got on there. And since 2013, there are a few more things, but this is a great start because I was just going to ask too if Kelly Sills is still with So yeah, Sills, is she still with the county? Did they say that last night?
No, Kelly has been gone from the county for a while.
Uh-huh. And who took her place? Did
It's
anybody?
a he. Nobody actually. The position wasn't filled, so
It was one of those that went through attrition, huh?
yes.
Was eliminated through attrition. Oh, and thus we get into our situation of writing language. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we would have a different contact, I'm going to assume. Let's see. So public meetings, website, emails, Facebook. Do you guys have, in the interest of time, do you want to go through these things one at a time and go through what we would do with them as part of an overall strategy, or do you want to move on to strategy? What do you think, Chris?
I think it really plays into the strategy. And actually, this, I wonder if I could steal the screen for a couple minutes if
Yeah.
we're going to move into strategy and then this, because I think a little thing I threw together this afternoon might at least help me put this into context a little bit. I thought the communications plan is actually really great, and I don't see any reason why we can't use that as a basis for what we do, because it really touched on a lot of the things that I thought were important, at least. I just had two short little things to share with you.
Okay, let me just get through just a couple of quick things, and then I'm happy to turn it over to you guys for strategy.
Okay, I have one before you go on. I know Chris, you asked Chris, but I think that to really talk about these resources, I think having that conversation with the comms team, that would be to, so we get the details of these resources. I know that you discussed it with them and some of us knows, but I think they're the ones that really know what, like, when you can ask them like news releases, what, who do you contact with, I mean, there's just tons of questions around all these things. So I think having them come and speak to us as soon as possible, that would be awesome. Oh, Eric's here. Yay.
Hello, Mr. Holt.
Sorry about that. I had a work meeting run over.
Hey, no worries. Glad you're here. So we just kind of went through a review of some things, and what we're talking about now is the 2013 Board of Freeholders communication plan, and what the communications team told me. These are the things that are on the freeholder communication plan. And then as far as resources, the reason I bolded a few of these are newer. So
Yes.
these weren't in existence when the 2013 Board of Freeholders was out evangelizing and spreading the word around the staff. See, I was looking right at staff when I said that, around the county. So Nextdoor's new, LinkedIn, and then the county fair. I did kind of go over, there is less staff at the county due to reductions in force. So that's one of the reasons they ask for a little bit of leeway and grace. They're asking for about 4 to 5 days before we want to have a release go out. That's out of the norm and out of the cadence for what they're doing.
I know the county fair was canceled, and it'll be interesting now that some mandates are lifted. And it'll be interesting if they reverse that decision. So that'll be something. But yeah, like I said, I think that having the comms team come talk to us about these things, and so we can really dig into it, would be awesome.
Yeah, I think they're probably too late this year to reinstate the county fair, but if they could, it'd be a great place for a booth.
Yeah.
Well, normally they would have already had their deadline for.
That's what I'm thinking too. Be back for 22, but gone for 21.
I know all of my friends in Ridgefield are really upset, like, that their kids are participating in 4-H. It's like, now we have this pig. What do we do with this pig we bought?
You gotta eat it.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
It's
sell it
like,
to us.
oh my God. It's so cute. They're like, okay, well, you got to raise this pig. But
my husband believes bacon is evidence of God. So, there's that. So, okay. The next thing I was going to do, and I know Deanna's going to be late, but before we jump into strategy, these are the goals that we did from the mentee, and I just kind of consolidated them all into 10 different goals. There's a bit of redundancy and crossover, but I thought what we could do first is decide on the priority of our goals and then move into strategy. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, so I didn't put these in any particular order. quite frankly. So I am happy to open discuss this, and we can rank them however you guys want to do this. So anybody have any?
Did Chris
Yeah.
have something he wanted to share?
Yeah, but we're going to do strategy next, right?
Oh,
It's
got
fine,
it.
and
Got it.
that'll wait. I'll pipe up when and if I think it'll fit. But
Oh, okay. Okay.
No,
thanks.
I mean, I fully intend to. This is the last slide. So, okay. So, well,
there's some
and it
things on
doesn't.
here that fall under other things on this list. I wonder if we could kind of parse those out a little bit, because some of these are goals, some of these are methods, and the methods would fall under goals a little bit. So could we separate those out first, do you think?
Go ahead.
I
Okay.
agree, and I also think
Manipulate
that
as much as you want to. So I will just copy this over, and we can separate it into 2 columns. Okay.
Cool. Okay.
and then I also think that yeah, I mean, we have an immediate, like, emergency goal, like start outreach right now, and in any way that we can, which is kind of like what the email I sent out today was about.
Okay. Go for it. This will help me move everything around a little bit.
Let's go ahead to start with having goals on the left side and like methods on the right side, or other on the right side. So we're seeing having regular messaging about the charter. Okay, that's a goal. Develop short and long-term plans. That's a goal. Public engagement with community groups is a goal. Roundtables is a method. Incorporate feedback from the community falls under public engagement with community groups, I would say.
Okay, one sec. Okay, so roundtables belongs over here. These belong up here, right? Keep me honest. Okay. Roundtables, and then I think we were here. Public communication.
Where were we? Okay. Councils, legal and mobile voters youth commission, those are avenues under methods as well. Incorporate feedback from the community. I would subhead it under public engagement with community groups. Those are same.
Incorporate feedback from community. Got it. Okay, so that's dead, but it's over here. Okay. So I'm right so far, right, guys?
Well, it just for my thoughts at least, and someone else can feel this part too. But just talking points and messaging falls under regular messaging about charter. That'll be how we approach that piece.
That's a method to you.
It's just another piece of number 1, so it could be a sub bullet for that one. Regular messaging about charter. They're all part of the same thing there. Providing facts also is a regular messaging about charter thing. I wouldn't delete them or put them in methods. I'd have them under the regular messaging piece. Just so we're not having 10 things when we might have 4 things in actuality to look at.
Okay, so let me get this straight. What you want me to do is take it from here, do that, and that.
There
Is
you
that
go.
right?
Yep.
That's
All right.
great.
And what was the other one? Because I think you said that about one other, and I don't want to miss it.
It was the messaging.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so this goes into here.
Regular
Is that
messaging,
correct?
yep.
Okay.
Cool.
The same thing with voters, what will influence them. I think that's a method.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether we were going to just keep that in mind.
That's actually more messaging. But that's, I don't know, like voters,
Yeah,
what
so
will
that should be
influence
under
them.
1
I
as
don't
well.
know, like even
Do you want me to put it over here? Go ahead, Dorothy. I'm sorry.
well, no, I'm
think
just trying to
that.
figure out like kind of like what is our role as a commissioner versus what's a like what should be pushed. Like influencing voters, I think, is more of beyond our scope. Our scope is just to create the amendments. Then so I don't know, like
Yeah,
We get-
sorry, finish.
We get in that conflict issue that when we're really talking about influencing voters. I think like voter engagement and getting them to actually just fill out their ballot is under the things we should be doing. Like, what's the importance of the charter? What's the importance of like making amendments to it? Like, what is our purpose?
You're actually touching on exactly like what I wanted to kind of address before getting to the strategy. In recognizing that I've seen us talk about two different things at the same time here. And one is our output and input of engagement with the community for the process of creating these charter amendments. The other is evangelizing, promoting, talking about the charter and general information about that. And I think in general, that evangelizing piece needs to come later. It's not part of our work right now.
True.
But the work we do now will lay the groundwork for that easily. So it's something like to have on the list, but to really, I think it's important to separate those two approaches a little out from each other. And so I would say there'd be a category for later of like the promoting and evangelizing the changes and what have you, just to kind of keep things on track and streamlined. So the short and long-term plans would fall under create a communication strategy. And I think the message, discipline, and alignment would fall under the regular messaging piece.
Okay.
And this basically breaks it out to process stuff for us. This is, creating communication strategy is a process for us. Regular messaging is about our output, the information we're putting out. Public engagement is about the information we're bringing in. So I think we have kind of these three main avenues to go down. And that's really the gist of what I wanted to share also there too. And here was a good place, I think, to help split those out. Thank you.
Okay. Nope, no worries. Does anybody have any other input on our goals versus our methodology? Well, that was easy.
But I think you can incorporate feedback from community from methods to just being under a bullet point under public engagement with community groups.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And then it doesn't seem so daunting anymore.
I know. Well, you know what? It's all about breaking it down, right? Nobody starts out to do a 17-mile hike. They just get to the first tree. Tree arrived. Okay. So, does anybody have anything else to say about goals versus methods? Eric, Dorothy, Terry? Okay.
I not really, except for that I know that there are, when we start really digging into these goals, there's some things that I think that are very short-term goals that need to be started right away. But that probably doesn't, this is a process thing that you're putting together, so that probably doesn't need to be discussed at this time.
Yeah, and goals are they're the roadmap. Methods are much more flexible, and they're going to change, and depending on what we're trying, how we're going to achieve those goals. So I think we're on the right path here of laying a strong foundation of goals and then using methods, keeping that a lot more flexible.
Yeah,
Decide to eliminate influence voters, what will influence them. I kind of liked what Dorothy had to say about that. It's not really that we're influencing them, it's that we're engaging them.
And it's even a method of education also.
Yeah, educating and engaging instead of influence to me sounds
Yeah, the word influence kind of like I don't know. We're not a political party here. We're not like, we don't really have an agenda. We're doing what we were elected to do. But yeah, what will engage voters?
So I was going to add one more, but go ahead, Dorothy. I'm sorry. I could go.
No, that's fine. Just like kind of thinking about more about how we engage voters. How do we get people excited to fill out their ballot, regardless of what their decision is? Just do the work to vote.
Yeah, can you put educate and engage? Does that sound good?
I didn't quite get that.
Under voters, change it to educate and engage.
Okay. Anything else?
No. thought
I
so.
was going to put under methodologies. One of the things that we could do is start pre-writing, and we've done this at different companies I've worked at. Pre-write social media posts with hashtags and stuff like that, and then just send them out to all the commissioners to share. That way we know that they're on message and it's easy to do. So all they have to do is literally copy and paste it into their Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever. But that way we can have some messaging discipline too. So anybody have any objections to that? Because I can go ahead and put that under regular messaging cadence. Anybody have any qualms about that?
I do, and I like that.
I talk about tactics right now,
Yeah.
or are we trying to finish out the strategy here first?
Yeah, no, this isn't strategy. This is just goals underneath. That's just another way to regularly message the charter, because you can do that every single week after every meeting. We could have somebody pre-write those social media posts and send them out to everybody. That way, maybe we're going to start garnering a little bit of momentum for the charter while we're still having meetings.
I
It's
totally
helpful. It's
totally
a
agree with
very
that.
narrow portion of the connection. I think it might be more of a priority to also include, which also is still just online, which is very limiting, but having an accessible anchor point website to direct people to, whether we're doing it through social media or whatever other outreach, where they can find all this information also without, they don't have to have a Facebook, they don't have to have a Twitter, they don't need to be online all the time, but they'll have a place where they can find our updates, and also at the same location, an avenue through which they have contact information for everybody, and they have text boxes they can fill out and submit their public comments or topic specific comments as well.
And
So
that's what I
that almost
understood
like
the
a line of that
communication.
social media piece, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you there. That's what I understood the communications committee advocating for the county website. So were you saying you want to develop a separate one?
The county website is almost useless. It exists. That's about it. It's hard to find. There's no easy URL for it. You go to it. It's not useful for a constituent to access and go to. It's not user friendly. It doesn't look good. You have to dig to even find the charter itself. And so this is what I'd hope to work with y'all to have some kind of landing page that will be friendly and easy, and that can produce an avenue both for output and for input. And also that we can direct folks towards for further questions and things like that too. Just kind of as a
totally
a hub.
I
Where do you want me to
totally
put that one?
agree with that. I think that that's really important, and I think it's missing now. I mean, you heard me last night. I couldn't find, like, going through the county page and looking for bylaws and everything like that. I mean, it's just very difficult to navigate. And like, having the chart on the county manager page is, I mean, it's very difficult. And so I totally agree with you, Chris, and that's a great idea. And then I also, Maureen, that's a great idea to have messaging after each meeting, which I think we talked about. After each meeting, having messaging and, having, some Facebook, having help with Facebook posts and that kind of stuff. I know with my union, our comms team, with a session or any message that they wanted to get out, because they wanted a concise message. And I think that that will help as well if we do that. But we can talk about that when we get to tactics, right?
Okay.
Would it be possible to rearrange methods so it aligns? Just for my eyes, it's not
Sure.
aligning. So can we align the 1, 2, 3, 4 with how the goals are also in line, so that regular meetings about the charter are going to be communication strategy, whereas number 2, public engagement, would be roundtables with mayors? Do you follow what I'm saying?
We can cross off 2 and 3 because they're already in the other column.
Okay.
These two?
I'm cross-referencing and I'm running in circles, and it's I don't know if it's my OCD or what, but it's
Oh, no, I'm cool.
You.
So this should go down here is what you're saying. Whoops. How's that?
yeah, it should just align across. So when somebody says, okay, here's the goal, well then right here is the method, and not have to search through. 1, 2, or 3 to guess which one is its aligning method.
All right, let's see.
So whatever goals under number 1 should be the methods under number 1, and whatever goals for number 2.
Not to make it too crazy here, but I think we can actually do away with the method blocks at this point because we're putting them underneath the bullets already.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
All right, tell me where to put them, folks. I'm fine. Go for it. So where do you want roundtables for mayors?
Roundtable under public
That's in here.
and charter website under strategy.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to be a little bit of a wet blanket here under strategy. We're under communication strategy means, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll realign this in a sec.
Yeah, and that flows a lot better, so that it's communication's all about the flow. So.
All right, so, all right, Chris, there goes your methodology, man. But I like that because it's tight.
Yep. Now it's 3 easy things to engage with rather than 10 that are kind of redundant.
That's good. Okay, perfect.
Nice work, team. All right.
Woo, we accomplished.
Beer 30, let's go.
I know, I love accomplishing things. So we know what our goals are. Now, do you want to switch the priorities around at all? So from what I'm seeing, regular messaging's number 1, public engagement's number 2, and strategies number 3.
I think strategy needs to be number 1.
That's what I was just going to suggest. All right. There's that MBA, Eric.
Let me know if this is too like bureaucratic subcommittee-ish, but I would love to have a purpose for each of these 2. Create communities, the why as well as the thing.
Yeah.
Like, what do we want to achieve for it? Like, as short and sweet as possible. It might be super easy. If it gets crunchy, we can skip that piece. But
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so where do you want me to put that?
Well, let's talk about each of them. And under 1, we can say we want to say create communication strategy to blah blah blah. And then number 2, we can figure out what we want to say. Do regular messaging about the charter to achieve blah blah blah. And then public engagement with the community to achieve blah blah blah. So we can just have it right in the line and figure out what we want, how we want to communicate our purpose for these items in as short as we can too. And I might actually bump timelines and benchmarks to a
separate bullet. I knew you were going to say that. Okay. There we go. What else was I going to say? Timelines and benchmarks. So do you want to write in those now, or do you want to break off to develop the strategy and write them in?
I think it would help us to develop the strategy by having that purpose there to kind of be the central point that we're directing ourselves towards. If that makes sense to folks.
Do you guys feel okay about going around and going, okay, what do you think communication strategy should be? And then, or just kind of co-write it and everybody jump on in? What do you guys like?
Yeah, I kind of like the open flow brainstorming, but we already have set timelines and benchmarks that we have to hit. So we have that as a framework, but once we apply our strategy and have that cemented, then we can align those with those timelines, and it's a lot easier. So it's good to know what we're trying to accomplish to fit that to the time frame that we have to work with.
Okay. All right, you're already on a roll, Eric. So you want to take your first swag at what we're hoping to accomplish with create communication strategy?
Well, part of that is the format, which is we need short and long-term plans. So we need to know what we need to have out before this election cycle, and what we're going to focus and put a foundation in place for the second cycle. So we need to know what we need to hit first and how we need to lay the seeds for the next one. We need the charter website needs to be top priority, because getting feedback into our process now is just as important as engagement after that. And so that needs to be a top priority. And then I think aligning our messaging with the rest of the commissioners is a top priority now, because the sooner we get a process in place where we're all following the same communications strategy throughout the entire commission, the more effective we're going to be when we're communicating that across the broadband. So I think that would probably be the top things that I'm looking at.
Okay.
And I know none of that is actually a cemented item to bullet point, but just an overview for kind of the first walkthrough on it.
So yeah, I like all of that. But what I would want to add to that, I mean, we have immediate, like, you know, I know we have short and long-term term plans. We have immediate plans right now because we have been quiet. We haven't been a presence in the community. So immediately, we have things that we need to do to kind of change that. And having the website will help before we do that. But some of the things I talked about in the email I put out, those are immediate things that I think need to be done immediately, just to show that the charter review commission is here. We want your input. We want it, and we want it. Now, whether or not we have anything like ready to present for them or not, we want their input. We want the community's input. So those are immediate goals. So I don't know if you want to include immediate goals or
Well, those would be short and long term. So in my mind, when whoever wants to take the first swag at creating the strategy, and if you guys want to team up or, go and work independently and then come back, we can talk about that too. But in my mind, those are short term goals versus the long term goals.
I'm talking about in 2 weeks, like,
That's short.
having booths out there in 2 weeks, having booths, asking commissioners to come and, talk to voters in booths and just having a presence, putting out the vignette that the county did. They did one when we got our co-chairs, and they put that out, and I think they posted that on their page. Having those kind of like, within 2 weeks, having that in place and going, and then going on from there,
I think part of the strategy for the short-term goals would also be the effectiveness. Because if we pour a lot of energy into trusting the county to come through for us, we're not going to get much as far as results. So what are the most effective ways we can engage with the public in a short term? And that's where our energy should be. So if that's getting hold of the Columbian and putting an ad in, maybe that's it. Or if that's engaging in Twitter and Facebook, I don't, but that should be part of that structure, or that short-term strategy. Then is what is going to be an effective use of our limited resources to get this messaging out and get that engagement back from the public.
Dorothy, it looked like you wanted to say something.
But I just kind of feel like we're off. We were just gonna talk about the why.
Yeah.
And we're just getting into more bullet points. I think kind of like the why for creating a communication strategy is just to have a clear plan we can all rely on.
That's all I wanted. That's it. A clear, wait a minute, sorry about that. Clear plan. Oh, go ahead and read that, Chris. I'm sorry, I can't juggle it all.
And I didn't want to interrupt that thought. I want to have that finished out first. Where my head was at, I just put those in as serving suggestions in the chat.
Okay, a clear plan that aligns. Dorothy, will you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
I'm just saying it's a clear plan that we can rely on. Like it's something that we can all look at and go, okay, this is what we need to do. Like there's not going to be any question of what our next steps are.
How about this? Of who does what when?
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay. Do you guys want to tackle regular messaging and cadence now, or do you feel that's axiomatic?
Cadence is probably a sub-bullet, actually, I'd say.
You're into the bullets, buddy.
Yeah.
He's right, though. I mean, it is a sub-bullet.
Okay, so we need to establish cadence there. One thing I was going to bring up was I don't know how much budget we have left, you guys.
So I did talk to the co-chairs about, or I talked to one of them today about, like, if we needed money to, get a banner, or if we needed money to put together a small flyer, or we needed that kind of stuff. And we have money. I mean, just as they said yesterday, we have that $20,000. I don't know how much has been spent.
Yeah, we don't know.
And so it's still like by the hour. And so they said they didn't see any problem with like, oh yeah, it costs $100 for a banner, so.
Is that assuming, did they look at how much we've spent so far and got that report back from Kathleen, or are they spitballing it?
I don't know, but I'm thinking that we have, my personal thing is that I'm thinking that we have money. I don't know what the contract says, and if it's like, you know, it is guaranteed that, or he just gets paid hour, money there for us to do for things. As far as like putting literature together and that kind of stuff, we don't have money for that, from what I understand. Like, you know, with
So
a
what I
bottom
would
line.
also say is then we need to put how much things cost then. Don't you guys agree? We're going to have a budget, and we need to communicate that openly to the rest of the commission.
You
Because
know what to say about the budget piece, right?
say what?
Bullet
Sorry.
point.
Say it's a bullet point.
That's a tactic. That's a method.
Budget. Yeah. But we are going to have a budget, because then we're going to have to know if, hey, money is tight, we're going to have to make tough decisions. So about what we want to do next. Okay. How are we doing so far? Regular messaging. We want to add anything to describe that?
So this is where I might direct attention to the chat as examples of what these kind of statements could look like for stating the goal and purpose. I'm not saying they're golden, but first of all, number one, Dorothy said exactly what I said in better words. So awesome, great. But like for number two here, regular messaging, I said establish regular messaging about the charter to consistently and proactively inform the public about the charter and work of the commission.
All right. Got it.
Does that resonate with others as far as what we think the purpose of that piece is?
Yep.
Yep.
Along with just making it easy for the charter, for the commissioners. Like
Yeah.
it's just, we're making it, by creating that messaging, it makes it easier. Like if we're doing the work, then everybody else will be more likely to spread the message if it's already written for them.
I just put that in there so we don't forget that part. And then, okay, so the last one is engage with the public and community groups to ensure an accessible, structured constituent input and feedback avenue. Okay.
Probably an avenue for a structured avenue for constituent input and feedback might be better.
Yeah. Emphasis on accessible.
Yeah.
Because right now, I don't even know how to easily figure out providing public comment and getting engaged.
That makes me think of one more thing to maybe tack under the strategy as a bullet, is to try to apply an equity lens.
Do you want that included somewhere, or I'm assuming the DEI committee?
As a bullet under strategy, it's worth stating, I think.
Clear. Okay, where do you want me to say? Clear plan. Do you want it here, or do you want it as a bullet? I don't know what your preference is. Okay. Talk to me. What do you want me to put?
Try to apply DEI lens would be. Or just DEI lens, that's fine too. Keep it simple. We're just making notes right now.
Oh, you know what? I'm just going to say this.
It's
All
not
right.
just the language though, it's how we engage with the public and who we engage with. It's part of that whole accessibility piece.
Yeah.
Right, it's not, it's a lens, not necessary language.
Yeah.
Tina, are you still here?
Yes, I am.
I was just curious, when we're talking about DEI, I always think of the folks who have a hearing disability. Do we know if WebEx has that update so we can have closed captioning on the meetings go forward?
I haven't heard back from IT. I will contact them again on Monday when I'm back to work.
Thank you. Okay, cool. Yep, because to my knowledge, they just created that update, and I know Zoom and Teams has it, but not everybody has access to that. Okay. What are we missing, guys?
The one thing that's sticking out to me, and maybe I'm just reading it wrong is under timelines and benchmarks, if there's no accountability, there's not really any purpose to it. So somehow we've got to set a strategy that has timelines and benchmarks, but also can, there's some sort of somebody's in charge of checking back up to make sure we're actually fulfilling these goals that we're trying to reach.
So that kind of goes back to the who, what, when, where, why of when we create that strategy, right? I agree. I'm a big fan of accountability. Okay. What else are we forgetting? And this can be iterative. I mean, we can always keep going on it as we can keep developing as new information comes to light.
I think this is an awesome start, and we can start digging a little bit deeper or putting this into a structure of some sort.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want me to turn it over to you now to share what you've got so then we can move to strategy?
Don't need to. It's already all in there.
Are you sure?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I'm trying to be inclusive. Okay. This was just the next thing I was just going to say is the next item is drafting that communication strategy. So a lot of times these things aren't a strategy I can see people working in pairs on, but it's not necessarily 5 or 6 people doing it because there's too intensive of work. How do you all want to approach that?
I think we should do the strategy piece together as a whole subcommittee here. I think if we're looking at what you just created, that top third about strategy, I think that we can work from that. And a lot of the works actually we'll find already laid out for us there.
Okay. So knowing we have 11 minutes, how would you all like to approach this?
I think we can go back and look at that timeline and just sort of
Right here?
like, yeah. And really just kind of think about like, I mean, here's our timeline. What is our benchmarks?
We know we want to have community engagement within the next 2 to 4 weeks. We know that we want to, make sure that all of us are online and the commissioners by such and such date. We know we've got to have our initial rollout of communication by August. It's kind of a format we need to lay out like that, I think.
Do we have a clear view of what we're discussing every week? Because I feel like I didn't even get an agenda last week.
Yeah,
or this week.
that would be helpful.
Like I kind of like
us or the big meeting.
Like the big the big meetings, like because it'd be really good if we knew 6 weeks out like what we're discussing every week. Then we could have our strategy be around engaging people based on each of those topics. This is what we're going to be discussing next week. This is how you provide input. Like,
Can we, speaking about agendas, can we make a call like, 4 or 5 days out for this committee the members of this committee to have agenda input and then include that and then create an agenda, because then I think we will know because we will be part of putting that agenda together.
yeah.
I don't understand. Can you say
Like-
that in different words?
Oh, okay. So, when we know we're going to have a meeting on Thursday, maybe by Friday of the next day, that Maureen, you send something out. Does anybody have anything that they need to put on the agenda that they think should be on the agenda? And then we can all have a communication by email about agenda, which is totally allowed. Our other committees are doing the same thing as well, setting their agendas that way. So
Anybody
then
else? So you want to go ahead and know the agenda for the next meeting 2 weeks out, the
No.
day after our meeting? Am I getting that right?
Are we still going to only be meeting every 2 weeks?
So far, yeah. That's
Oh,
what
okay.
everybody was deciding last time.
Okay, I think that we need to have a discussion around that as well, just because.
That's why we need to kind of be stealth about what we're going to do here, because I do want to respect everyone's time. I do not like going over time. So
Can
I'm
we
going to make
then-
a suggestion that we have a couple of you who have passion for this, volunteer for this, and do a first swag at a strategy. And then we can either talk about it next time, or we can negotiate it by email.
I actually would like more email communication, you know, and more input from everybody. So that's what I would vote on, that is to have that, you know, whoever wants to work on the strategy, which is fine. I am just thinking, you know, when I said that, oh, we need to have more than meetings every 2 weeks, is there's actually going to be a lot to do. And just like I said, having something like within 2 weeks, some kind of community event or community engagement, that's not possible if we're not meeting for another week.
Dorothy, why don't we go Dorothy, Eric, Chris? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. We've only got 7 minutes, so I just kind of want to like, let's get clear here. I don't want to leave it on anybody else to do it outside of what we're doing, but I also don't want to volunteer to do extra work. Like,
All right, Eric, you're next, and then Chris, you're next. What are your
So
thoughts?
I'm fine doing. We got some feedback. I'm fine doing weekly or every 2 weeks. I'm getting hammered at work, and I'm having to travel a lot more, and things it's just stuff that I wasn't thinking was going to come on this soon. So I'm fine tuning in weekly. But I don't know how much I can take on top of what I've already put on my shoulders. So.
All right, Chris.
Try to do a lot more by email then.
I'm sorry, Chris. Chris was next. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think that's the number one strategic thing we need to talk about is our meeting tempo. I think that weekly is going to be important to have at least the space, and if we don't need it all, we don't have to take it all. I would put that forth. And as far as putting together a draft, I think that it's a lot easier in a work group like this, especially distanced, if somebody creates a basic fundamental thing to work off of, rather than trying to co-generate it all at a distance. And if no one else is keen on that, I don't really want to do that. to do this particular piece right now, I've got a lot on my plate too. But I can try to take a swipe at putting a skeleton together that we can work off of when we meet again in a week or 2 weeks. If no one else wants to jump on that for like the basic strategy outline.
Terry, do you want to work with Chris?
Yeah, that's not really my thing. I'm more of an action person. Like I'm like going, okay, can I get you guys just an okay for me to do the farmers market in 2 weeks, you know, and you know, those kind of things. So as far as putting a strategy together, you know, I don't think I would be much of an asset to Chris.
Yeah, I'll work with Chris on it if he's willing to work with me on it. It's you know, it's what I do for work. It's my degrees. The strategy is it's what I do, but it's just that I'm so overwhelmed right now at work that I know I will not even be able to look at it until probably Wednesday of next week.
I have an idea. Let's dump it all on Deanna. She's not here.
yeah, she's not here. It's all her. Nobody. We'll just volunteer her for all the work.
I know.
That'll teach her to miss a meeting.
I'll tell you what,
So
I will
you guys
throw
know I'm a
together
nerd,
a
so-
weird, crappy first draft of something, and I'll have Eric put eyes on it, and we'll talk about it, and we'll bring it to the next, and we'll email it for comment from the other committee members.
Perfect.
So that we can finalize something at our next meeting, which Maureen, our chair, can set for us, right?
Okay, so here's our next steps. Eric and Chris, and I'm going to say, and possibly Deanna, I know she would want to participate. We'll work on first draft of comms strategy.
Yep.
To review at next meeting. Right?
Yep.
Okay, so that is 2 weeks from now. That's what I've got down. That was 2 weeks from now. If you want to start increasing it after that, excellent.
We can do it next week, I think.
I can't.
Oh, you
So,
can.
nope. And I think Deanna said she can't either. So, anyway, so why don't we go ahead? Anything else I'm missing for next steps? So Eric and Chris and possibly Deanna are going to work on that first draft. Do you guys need anything from us before you start rolling up your sleeves, or do you feel like this will give you the template for it?
I do
No.
have a request, if it's all right. Any good strategy starts with your mission, your vision, and your goals. And so if you guys just have a few things that are really important to you that you want to see us achieve for this process, just shoot that over to us and we'll implement that into the strategic plan.
Nice.
Okay. So
I
I
would
do
say
think-
goal number one is just, can we get more engagement? That's like, I want to see like at least 3 people providing public comment every meeting.
Oh man, wouldn't that be great? So we got to
And
make
the
it easier
only-
then.
And the only way to do that is for us to be more visible in the public. And so that's why I mean, unless you guys are just going, no, we don't want to do any kind of public events, or we don't want to do anything now until we have the strategy and stuff. I don't think it's really necessary to like wait for another 2 weeks before we do it. We do something, but if that's up to the committee whether they want to. I'm sure that if they want to do something. So
I like that. I like going weekly, but I do also like skipping this next week to give me a chance to catch up and to work on this, work with Chris and everybody to get this first
Yeah.
initial plan. And because otherwise we'd show up Thursday and I'd have nothing to give you again. And I don't want to waste a meeting.
It doesn't mean no work will happen between this time, because we'll have this as soon as I can grab Eric next Wednesday. We'll talk about it. We'll share what we come up with.
Yeah.
So
I will, Chris, I will have some time tomorrow. So if you do want to reach out at any time, it's just that starting Saturday, I'm pretty much going to be not even within cell range until probably Tuesday night.
Sounds kind
Roger
of
that.
nice and quiet, actually. I'm kind of envious, actually. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
So just to be clear, because I'm talking about something different between, and I'm not talking about that. You guys just want to put
Right.
everything on hold until you have the strategy, or do you want to have a community event? Do you want to have a table at the farmers market? Do you want to have, because those things can start, I believe, without having, this a formal written strategy.
But without talking points and without a consistent messaging, it seems to me that going out and starting to advocate for this before we have a strategic plan is shooting and asking questions later. But what do you think, Dorothy?
I think the talking points and messaging are definitely important. Like, what is the even goal or purpose of tabling or being in the public? What are we trying to do?
It would, my idea would be just asking for engagement, like people come up,
Mhm.
yeah, the charter, we're reviewing the charter. You don't have to have like, you don't have to talk, just asking them going, yeah, and then just saying, if you want to get involved, please reach out, so
Yeah.
it's just visibility and asking for engagement. That's all.
I think that would be the key, is if there's going to be any outreach in the next couple of weeks, it should be getting engagement, giving them the website and the phone number of
Yeah.
how to contact us.
Yeah, see, that's it. Like, where are we directing people? That's the real, like, we're talking part of our whole thing is having a website, somewhere where we can actually easily direct people.
I mean, I think that, I just think that something has to be done very kind of quickly to get people engaged.
I
You
hear
can't
ya.
wait.
I hear
We
ya.
can't wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It's like, no, people need to be able to kind of just see, okay, well, look, there's Clark County. And we probably don't even have to have, maybe you don't even need a banner, because Clark County might have a banner. And I don't know if they would allow us to use just a Clark County banner and have that there. And I mean, it's just trying to get people engaged. And I think that that's important, and it has to start immediately.
Okay, so I hear what you're saying. I'm personally don't think that we should go out yet until we have a strategy and we know what we're trying to accomplish, but I want to make sure and get everybody's. So give me a yay if you think that we should go forth or do the strategy first. So I'm just going to go in the order I see you guys. So Chris, do we go forward with community engagement or do we do strategy first?
I'm sorry, I think we do need a little bit more before we can go out there. Just we have different commissioners give different messaging about different things. We have to at least have our whoever's there, agree to not provide their own personal opinion, to only report on the thing. And this is a bit of a process that needs to be done first. And then, as Dorothy pointed out, I think we have to have a call to action direction to point them in. We could use the county website as it is, but I don't think that'll be very useful. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so that's one for do strategy first. Dorothy, what do you think? Strategy or outreach?
Strategy and messaging.
Okay. Eric.
Well, I'm going to agree that we absolutely have to have a game in place. So when we send people toward to get information, but I also do not see there's any harm in engaging in our current social media that we might have with our current constituents, and just getting them to just start giving us feedback right now is not going to hurt anything. But before we direct them anywhere, we need to have somewhere to direct them. And if we tell them to direct them to these numbers and these email, this email address now, but then website further down the road, we're just adding confusion into our process. And I want a very clear, very easy communication process, because we already don't get people to engage with us. And so the harder we make it, the more confusing we make it, the less people are going to engage with us.
So you're saying strategy first.
Yeah, I have no problem with anyone reaching out in their own personal social media to get that engagement, but we need to have a clear plan in place to once we, so I get where Terry's coming from, and I know it's important to engage now, but
we're as long as everybody's aware that we're talking 3 weeks now before anything happens. So
well, and you know what, you made me think that,
everybody's
Chris, too.
okay with that, then that's fine.
The commission has to approve this.
I'll take another.
We haven't even presented this to the main commission first, so we shouldn't be going and cowboying anything until we have a plan, we present it, and it gets approved. Until we have a plan and a strategy, and the whole commission approves it. Because I want to make sure that if we're communications, we need to communicate well, right?
Yes, and I'd like for that to happen. And so the other thing that I think that is an immediate thing before you get off is I think that we can come up with an email to send out to the groups that you said to ask them to be engaged. Do you guys want to wait for 3 weeks to do that as well? In the meantime, we are continuing with charter, with our regular meetings with the whole commission, and without any engagement. So, and without any feedback. And so that's a pretty easy thing to do, to come up with a very generic letter going, can you, do you have any, these are just things, just because I don't think we have 3 weeks to wait, because engagement and community presence is not like, you're going to go out there and now all of a sudden all the community is going to know that, the charter's out there working. That kind of stuff takes a while, and it's a sustained thing. So and I'm fine with you guys saying no, we have 3 weeks to wait. But that's good.
Maybe we can close this meeting out with a goal. That's a smart goal to have a proposal put out to the commission, not at this next meeting, but the following one.
How will we do that if we haven't met?
Yeah, that's my point.
Yeah, right. Just to address exactly Terry's point. What'd you say, Maureen?
I was going to say, how do we present a strategy to the overall commission if we haven't met to refine it? Because what you guys are going to create is first draft.
Well, right. Well, this is where the work happens in between. So we have 2 weeks almost for the charter review commission meeting that we'd be targeting. So if we can meet before 2 charter review commission meetings from now, what's that? The 19th,
Memorial Day.
26th.
I think so.
Yeah. Or through email agreement after, we send a draft, you bring in your notes, we send another draft. If everyone likes it, kick it to Maureen to send to the commission and say, hey, can we approve this at that meeting? Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Cool with
It's
that.
kind
Are
of
you
what I
guys?
think it sounds
Yeah,
like.
yeah, I think that would work. Like we could just develop it over email and then with just a clear idea that whatever our draft looks like before the Wednesday meeting of the 26th, that's it. That's what we're presenting.
Yeah. Because we really do we have to stay within our purview, and we do have to get commission approval before any
Yeah.
act. So,
Yeah, I agree. Okay. All right, guys, thank you so much. What I'm going to do is send this in PowerPoint version back out to everybody right now. That way you'll have the notes right in front of you and you'll have the template. Sound good?
The other thing, though, I think we should request a clear schedule from our co-chairs of what we're discussing each week, because that's like the piece that we're missing is that we get an agenda maybe sometimes a day of, a day before, and we don't even know like what are we talking about at the next meeting. Like we know we're talking about Article 9 at the next meeting only because the agenda, we put it off till the next meeting. Like
Got it.
Could we actually have that be an immediate action item too? And Dorothy, since you put it so well, if we all agree on behalf of this committee as a request to the co-chairs?
Oh, you know what I was going to do is send out this PowerPoint and I always include them. So then I will specifically put co-chairs. This is the request. And I'll do that right now.
yeah, because part of our strategic alignment is going to be dependent on what the schedule is for the commission meetings.
Yeah. Yep.
That makes
Agreed.
sense.
All right, everybody. Well done. All right. We'll get this 9 minutes off next time. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. Talk to
Good
you
work.
soon. Woo! Try and keep it tight there. Okay. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tina.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Bye.